We are down to the final two, the cream of the crop. The final two left standing in the Australian Open of 2018 in the men's draw. We started with 128 players. In fact, more if you count the qualifying rounds. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, 126 players have been ousted from the tournament, to some degree humiliated on the court in a public setting. These men, these 126 men who competed in this tournament and who gave it their best and who tried and tried and tried to win this game, and all of whom, I'm confident, truly love this game, even Nick Kyrgios. Well, they deserve our deep, deep respect, and I salute them. But we do have things at hand here. We do have a match at hand that is coming up, and we need to talk a little bit about what is going on here from Roger Federer's perspective, but also from Marin Cilic's perspective. My name is Aaron Knapp. Welcome to Tennis Talk Daily, where you will get essential commentary on professional tennis so that you can know and understand all the latest news and understand all the latest insights. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to receive more videos. And again, subscribe to receive daily, twice daily, 3 times, 4 times, even 5 times daily. If you'll accept my phone videos, I can give you much more. These produced options take a little while longer, but I will try to give you as much as possible, in particular during these big tournaments. So, the Cilic question. The Cilic question. Well, Federer and Cilic have a history. They've met 9 times over the last, say, 7 or 8 years. Cilic has prevailed only once in a very dramatic, very memorable 2014 U.S. Open semifinal, in which Cilic went on to win the final, lift the trophy for his first and, in fact, only Grand Slam title. But Cilic has been a staple in these tournaments. He kind of is reminiscent of a Berdych. He's always getting to these later rounds. He always does well. And he has a phenomenal tennis game when he's playing right and when his mental position is in line. So, Roger Federer, in fact, likes Marin Cilic. I like Marin Cilic. When I saw him break down at the 2017 Wimbledon final when he was crying, my heart went out to him. It really did. And I just warmed up to Marin Cilic. When he first came on the scene, people didn't really know what to think of him, but he's been around for a while. And he is a true gentleman. He has a great personality, and again, but more to the point, when he's on, and he's had sort of issues with choking sometimes, but when he's on, he is a devastating player, and he seems to be on in this Australian Open. Matt over at Coffee Break Tennis raised the question of whether Cilic is unbeatable in this tournament. Well, I'm not sure I would go that far, but he is doing very well. Again, they've met on 9 occasions, Cilic and Federer. Federer's prevailed 8 of those times. Has a very strong record, but Cilic has been able to get the better of Federer, and he did so in the U.S. Open. What did Cilic do in that match to beat Federer? Well, I had a look at that match earlier today, and it was a fun match to watch, although a little painful for a Federer fan. But Roger actually played fairly well. I mean, the Croat in that match was just totally on fire. I mean, he was doing what he's been doing in this tournament, in a way. Hitting amazing ground strokes with immense pace at full tilt. Perfectly placed stuff. He will come to the net when he finds the right approach shot, and for a big guy, he can be very good and very agile and nimble at the net. He can get into those longer rallies. In the U.S. Open, this happened, and he did win. In 2014, in any case, he did wear Federer down in a number of those rallies that went on and on and on. But Cilic really does, and he gets balls back when he's placing these balls well, when he's feeling good, when he's serving well, well, now that's one of his biggest assets. We should have mentioned that first. He's got an amazing serve, an amazing first serve, and when that's on, well, that goes a long way toward getting Cilic to the end of matches and making him the victor. Well, we have to watch out for a couple of things coming into this match. I mean, from Federer's perspective, I think, Federer has to watch out for sort of letting his guard down, because I think his heart went out to Marin Cilic in the Wimbledon final as well. I think he really likes Cilic. I think there's some part of Federer that really wants Cilic to win in a way. I mean, in other words, believes that Cilic deserves. I mean, here Federer is with 19 Grand Slam trophies. Well, I think there's part of Roger Federer that believes that maybe Marin Cilic should have another. He deserves a Grand Slam trophy. And you know what? I agree with Roger Federer to the extent he believes that. I mean, Cilic does deserve it. He's worked hard. He loves the game. He's a fair player. He's competitive. He's tough, but he's civil. He is, again, a gentleman on the court. In a way, in fact, to kind of match Roger Federer's. I mean, you've got these two guys coming out that are actually very likable. Now, Federer will have the crowd. I mean, the balance of the crowd will be on Federer's side, probably, coming up on Sunday night. But Cilic will have some sympathies of the crowd. So what Federer has to watch out, he can't let his guard down, because there's that other Roger Federer. We know the gentleman who hit maybe a few irreverent jokes every now and again, but the gentleman who's caring and sensitive. We know that guy when he's off the court, but on the court, he's very ruthless. He's not emotional at all. So he did a good job of kind of separating himself from the Cilic emotional drama at Wimbledon in a way that I probably couldn't have done. And he needs to really try to do that here. Now, it doesn't look like Cilic is going to be deserving much sympathy on the court this year, because he's going to be playing a lot better, provided that he doesn't have any blisters, God forbid, developing. So Federer cannot let his guard down. One other thing that I think Federer could do, he did in the U.S. Open a bit, but he didn't do it enough, is and you saw it against Chung, something I didn't mention this morning, which is the shots that are kind of shallow in the court, in the service boxes. They're ground strokes, but they sort of lure the player up to the net. Well, if you can lure, if you can get to the Croat to the net on your terms, if Federer can get the Croat to the net on Federer's terms, then that could be a real exposure for the Croat, because you know what? Federer can pass in those opportunities when it's not a good approach, obviously, because it's kind of forcing him to come up. He's kind of has to hit a defensive approach and is forced to the net. Well, if Federer can do that, then that's a good place to have Cilic at the net. But when Cilic comes to the net on his terms, behind these walloping approach shots, that can be a real exposure for Federer, and Federer can be in real trouble when that happens, because those shots are unreturnable often when Cilic approaches, and he has the tendency to just pick the perfect approach shots. He can hit them, in other words. I don't think, like sabers, I don't think shock and awe is the way to deal with Cilic in the way that I thought it was the way to deal with Chung. I think Federer is going to have to outsmart Cilic. It's going to be the variation, the breadth of his play, the diversity of the shots, changing up the pace again with the slice backhand, making Cilic come to the net on Federer's terms. Federer will have to serve well. He wasn't getting many of his first serves in with Chung. He was doing so great on his second serve, it didn't even matter, and he was doing great on his first serve points. Once he got him in, his percentage was good, but he needs to do better on the serve. I do not think Marin Cilic will be retiring. And in fact, as Wimbledon shows, even if he had a blister, he's not going to retire like Chung did. So this will go the distance, and Federer has to be prepared. So Federer also has to mix in the net play, because Cilic is not really used to that. And that's going to be a major asset as well. But again, He needs a perfect approach shot. He has to come up to the net on his own terms, and he has to watch out for these kind of, Cilic sort of luring him into the net in the way that I think, Federer should do to Cilic. Well, that can work both ways. It's not a shock and awe. It's the variety of shots. He's got to keep Cilic off balance. He's got to serve well. Listen, I'm going to have more to say on this match as today proceeds and into tomorrow. We got a bunch of time. The women's final is coming up tonight, which is a perfect match. It's the #1 and the #2 seed. The women, I know I have not been talking about them, but they have been playing some amazing tennis, so please check that out. I'm glad to get into discussion. Just time constraints kind of prevent me from getting too in-depth about the women. There's so much to discuss on the men's side, so that's what our focus will be, at least for this year's Australian Open. So subscribe to the channel. There's going to be much more essential commentary coming, and I'm going to try to discuss a little bit more about these US Open match in 2014, but I'm also going to go back and look at some of these Federer-Cilic matches and try to give you the best insight I can into not so much my proposal in terms of what Federer should do or what Cilic should do, but more kind of thoughts on what they're probably thinking, what their teams are thinking, what their teams maybe should be thinking about, how they can and possibly should approach these matches based on the evidence and facts that we have in these previous matches. So that's my plan coming up. Tune in, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I will look forward to speaking with you soon. I'm on the edge of my seat about all this. I can't wait for the final. It's going to be great, and I really look forward to sharing it with you. All right, peace be with you. Bye-bye.